Let's go Dolphins! Something big is happening in Miami, and I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about changes, real changes, that could completely alter the course of the Dolphins season and perhaps even the future of this franchise. I'm going to describe a scenario involving the firing of veteran leaders, trade negotiations whispered behind closed doors, and a front office that is finally making bold and ruthless decisions. And yes, it involves names that will shock you. But before I explain everything, I need to ask you something important. Are you truly a Dolphins fan? Like, a real fan? If you followed this team through all the disappointments, rebuilds, and endless dramas, then like this post right now. And if you're a die-hard fan, one of those who knows the pain of Marino's days without a ring, or who followed us through the Tannehill roller coaster, I want you to leave a comment saying, "Go Dolphins! We won't give up." Believe me, you'll want to hear all of this analysis, because what's happening behind the scenes at Dolphins headquarters could deeply shake the fans. Now let's get right into it. Jalen Phillips is gone. Yep, the Dolphins traded one of their most dynamic pass rushers to the Philadelphia Eagles, kicking off a potential fire sale. And guess what? That's just the beginning. Right now, 5 big names are on the block: Minka Fitzpatrick, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Waddle, Matthew Judon, and Rasul Douglas. But 2 names are generating massive buzz: Minka Fitzpatrick and Bradley Chubb. And folks, buckle up because the Dallas Cowboys are right in the middle of all this. There's serious speculation that a deal with Dallas has already been finalized, it just hasn't been announced yet. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones went on record saying a trade was done, and that it would be kept under wraps until Tuesday. He described the player as someone who can make an immediate impact and help address the team's most glaring issues like poor quarterback pressure and a secondary that's been lit up week after week. Sound familiar? Because Miami has 2 players that fit that exact need: Bradley Chubb and Minka Fitzpatrick. Now let me break this down further. Bradley Chubb, while not elite this season, is still a veteran presence who can apply pressure off the edge. But trading him doesn't help Miami financially right now. In fact, his 2025 cap hit would still weigh heavily with no real savings until a potential post-June 1st trade in 2026. That makes him harder to move today, which is why all signs point to Minka Fitzpatrick being the one who's likely to go. Let's talk Minka. He's under contract for 1 more year with a non-guaranteed $15.6 million salary, which gives flexibility to any team looking to add him. And as for value, Miami could likely snag a 3rd-round pick for him, just like they did for Jalen Phillips. At 29, Fitzpatrick still has gas left in the tank, and his experience would be invaluable for a playoff-bound team like Dallas. In fact, sources close to the Cowboys are speculating the mystery trade Jerry Jones hinted at is for none other than Fitzpatrick himself. Marcus Moore, a plugged-in Cowboys insider, even said that if he had to guess, the deal is either for Tyree Wilson or Minka Fitzpatrick. That's not a coincidence, and it gets better or worse, depending on how you look at it. According to NFL insider Jordan Schultz, Miami is wide open to dealing Fitzpatrick if the return is right. That's not rumor. That's real. And when you start connecting the dots, the Cowboys' needs, the Dolphins' financial situation, and the trade deadline urgency, it becomes clearer and clearer that Minka could be in his final hours as a Miami Dolphin. But wait, there's more. Rasul Douglas is quietly becoming one of the hottest names on the trade block. Signed on a 1-year deal right before final roster cuts, Douglas has been lights out this season. We're talking about a guy who's allowed just a 57.5% completion rate and a QB rating of 79.6 when targeted. He's been arguably better than Jalen Ramsey this year. Let that sink in. A lot of fans wanted a Ramsey replacement, but Douglas has stepped in and locked things down with authority. Despite picking up a minor knock in Thursday night's game against the Ravens, Mike McDaniel made it clear that Douglas could still suit up this Sunday against the Bills, if he's still here. That's key. It signals to other teams that he's not seriously injured, and yes, he's very much available. Teams like the Jaguars, Lions, and Bears have shown interest. All 3 are desperate for help in the secondary, and Rasul fits perfectly. But here's the catch. He's 30 and on a 1-year deal. That limits his trade value to maybe a 6th-round pick, and that's probably the best Miami can hope for. Still, given his current form, contenders might be willing to pay that price for a playoff push. And here's where things really start to get spicy, because what's unfolding behind closed doors in Miami might be less about 2025 and more about a complete philosophical shift in how this team is being built. Trading Minka Fitzpatrick wouldn't just be about flipping a valuable veteran for a 3rd-round pick. No. This would signal that Champ Kelly, the new interim GM, is pushing to reshape this roster his way. He's not just stepping in to hold the clipboard while Greer's mess plays out. He's showing he's ready to take control. And that control starts with tough decisions. Let's not forget the deeper implications here. Minka Fitzpatrick is a foundational piece. He's been one of the most consistent players in Miami's secondary and still has another year left on his deal. But if Kelly is willing to move him, it tells us this front office isn't just trying to patch holes, they're ready to rip up the floorboards. It's a message to the entire locker room that no one is untouchable. And it's a message to fans that the Dolphins aren't going to keep pretending they're one or two players away from a title if they don't truly believe it. Now, flip the coin, and let's say it's Bradley Chubb instead. He's been solid, not spectacular. And with that bloated $31 million cap hit looming in 2026, his contract is a time bomb. But that's precisely why it might make sense to move him now, even if it means eating dead money this year. If Kelly believes this defense is too top-heavy and can't sustain its performance, offloading Chubb would be a bold cap-clearing move to free up space for younger, more dynamic talent next year. The bigger question is this: how do these moves affect the locker room dynamic? Trading leaders like Chubb or Fitzpatrick mid-season sends a message, not just to fans but to players, and that message can go two ways. It can say, we're retooling for the future, or it can say, we're giving up on the now. That's a delicate balance, and it's up to Mike McDaniel to keep this team locked in and motivated, no matter what the front office decides. And while everyone's eyes are on the Cowboys, don't forget the other potential suitors lurking in the background. We've already seen the Eagles swoop in for Jalen Phillips. What's stopping Detroit, Chicago, or Jacksonville from doing the same with Rasul Douglas? If those offers start rolling in, and Miami can stack a few day 2 or day 3 picks, then suddenly this rebuild doesn't look like a teardown, it looks like a tactical reload. What's fascinating here is that Rasul Douglas is arguably Miami's most underrated defender right now, and his value is quietly peaking. You want proof? Pro Football Focus has him graded as the 5th best corner in the league among those who played 50% of snaps. 5th, that's elite company. For a guy picked up on a one-year flyer after cutdown day, that's a steal. So even if Miami only gets a 6th rounder in return, the real win is that they turned a low-risk signing into an asset. That's good GM work, and again, another signal that Champ Kelly might be the right guy to clean up Greer's leftovers. Now, imagine a trade deadline where Miami sends out Minka Fitzpatrick and Rasul Douglas. That's 2 starters from your secondary gone in one afternoon. That would be chaos. But what if, that chaos clears the way for something bigger? Cap space, draft picks, roster flexibility, and maybe, just maybe, a shift toward building a defense that can finally match the firepower of Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle. Speaking of Waddle, don't ignore his name on that trade candidate list. He's not getting the same buzz, but the fact that he's even being mentioned should make fans take a hard look at what this team is trying to become. If someone calls with a blockbuster offer for Jalen Waddle, is anyone confident the Dolphins say no? He's still on a rookie deal, his speed is unmatched, and pairing him with Tyreek has always been a nightmare for defenses. But he's also a player that could fetch a massive return. And let's be honest, if Miami is really looking to overhaul, Waddle would be the most valuable chip on the table. And here's where things could get even more unpredictable. We talked about Jordan Brooks earlier. He's been a rock at linebacker the last 2 seasons. But with only 1 year left on his contract, and teams like Seattle and Tampa Bay in desperate need of help at that position, don't be surprised if someone throws out a 2nd rounder to steal him away. It's a long shot, sure, but this deadline has already gone off the rails once with the Phillips trade, and if Minka gets dealt today,